Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, like and share with your friends. So on today's video, I'll be making a female senator top, and I'll be using this senator material. Some call it senator material, while some call it this aboki material. But I'll be making use of this material. I have 2.5 trouser lengths. I'm making a pant and a female senator top. So now let me place my fabric on the table. So guys, I've placed my fabric on the table, but drafting the front, then we'll now place it on the back to cut it together. Because you know the back is always, on female senator, the back is always longer than the front. It will overlap to the front. So now the first thing I have to do is to get the shoulder. The shoulder I'm working with is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. But we'll not put 7 because the female senator used to drop to the shoulder a bit. We add half inches for sewing allowance. This is 7.5. Then I'll come down by 1 inches for the shoulder slant. This is my 1 inches mark here. Then now I will connect it straight down like this. Then the next thing we have to do now is to get our chest line, which is the shoulder. So to get your shoulder, you have to divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5. After dividing mine, I have 8.5. So now this is my 8.5 mark here. 8.5 mark. You can see it here. Then now just connect this with a straight line like this. Then the next thing I have to do is to get the waistline. The waistline I'm working with is 17. So I will just mark 17 inches here. 17 inches here. Then the next thing we have to do is to get the hip line. The hip line I'm working with is 25. This is my 25 inches mark here. Then 25 inches mark here. Then the next thing we have to do now is to get the length of the top. The length of the top I'm working with is 31. So this is 31 inches here. Then we'll add 2 inches for folding allowance. This is my 2 inches mark here. So now I'll connect these lines together. Okay, so now we'll come back to the chest line. So now we'll bring down that 7.5, we'll drop at the shoulder down to the chest line, which is 7.5 here. Now connect this with a straight line. Because we are cutting the front and the back on this fabric, I'll be drafting the back shoulder and the front shoulder on this same fabric. Now what I'll do next is to divide this by 2, like this. And I will come in by 0.75 for the front armhole, 0.75, and for the back armhole I will be coming in by half inches. So now I will connect this together like this on a straight line, then we connect the armhole with your French curve like this and like this also. Okay, then the next thing we have to do now is to drop our bust measurements. The bust I'm working with is 42. 42 divided by 4 give me 10.5. So I'll put down my 10.5 here, and I'll add 1 inches for ease. This is 1 inches for ease. And I'll be adding 1.25 for seam allowance because I'll be whipping this. This is it. Then I'll come to the waist also. My waist I'm working with is 39. 39 divided by 4 give me 9.75. Then I'll mark my 9.75 here. And 1 inches for ease, 1.25 for seam allowance. Then on the hip line, I will come also and mark my hip. Hip is 44. 44 divided by 4 give me 11. I'll mark my 11 inches here, and 1 inches for ease and 1.25 for seam allowance. So now connect this together from the chest line to the waist like this, and from the waist to the hip like this. Before we cut out, now let's work on the neckline. The neckline, I will mark 2.2 inches for the neckline, 2 inches for the neckline, and the neck depth I'll be doing 2.5 for the neck depth. So now I'll connect this like this. So now we're placing the back on this so we can cut it out. But before then, let's cut out the shoulder. So now, you know this, we have 33 inches for the front. Yes, we have 33 inches for the front. These are 33 inches for the front. Then for the back, we'll be cutting out, we know we have 33 inches here. We'll add 3 inches to 33 inches to give us 36. For the back, we'll be cutting out 36. So now let me cut that out. Okay guys, you can see I've placed the back pattern, and it's longer than the front by 3 inches. So now I will shift this down so it will be equal at the down, at the hem of the top. It will be equal at the hem of the top. You can see how it is. It's equal at the hem. Now you can see the hems are equal. The next thing we have to do is to fold this back pattern like this. You can see the way I fold it on 1/2 inches. Fold it like this, and you place this on it. You can see it's folding on 1/2 inches. Then the next thing we have to do is to mark the shoulder. The shoulder, we have 7.5 inches. So now I will mark this like this. You can see. But before I did this, I make sure I cut the front, the back pattern the same. I came down by 1 inches that we did for the front. I did that on the back pattern also. Then after doing that, I fold on 1/2 inches like this. You can see how it is. So now I'll be cutting this out on the, because this is the back pattern and the front together, I'll be cutting it out like this on this back armhole first. After doing that, I will now cut the front armhole. So now let me do that now. Okay. You can see how it is. It's overlapping on 1/2 inches. So now cut out the front neckline, and I'll be cutting out the back neckline also. So cut out the front neckline first. Then I'll fold this, it's overlapping by 1/2 inches. Then I'll cut this also out. We have, what do we have here? 2 inches. I'll be marking that also. So I'll cut this out like this. You can see the way I cut it out. So now we'll straighten this. So this is how it will overlap like this. You can see how it is. So now we'll cut. The next thing we have to do is to cut out the sleeve. So guys, I'm done with the cutting of the top. Now we have to cut out the sleeve. The length of sleeve I'm working with is 10 inches plus folding allowance will give me 12 inches. So now this is my 12 inches mark here. I'll be making use of free hand to cut this sleeve out. So now connect these lines together. So now next we have to do is to come down by 5 inches like this. So if I'm working with is 7 inches, so I'll mark 7 inches here and mark 1.5 for sewing allowance. So now I'll just connect this like this straight down. So now cut this out. Before cutting it, I'll be folding this in like this and cut out. So guys, now let's cut facing for the back. I've gone ahead to cut facing for the front. You can see I just cut the facing and draw a straight line and cut this out. So now let's cut facing for the back. Now let's cut facing for the back. You make sure it's equal at the side, then you cut out the neckline like this. Then after cutting it out, you can see how it is. Then you now have to shape this to what shape you want it to be. So I'll just come like this and mark 2 inches. You can see I marked 2 inches, and then just come now and draw a curving line like this. Let's just make this straight line like this. Make sure the line is straight. You can see the way I do mine. You make the line come like this. So now cut this out. So now we're turning the facing. The first facing we have to turn is for the back. You bring the back facing. You can see this is the front of the fabric. You make sure the front of the fabric of the facing is facing the senator top. Let's call this senator top. Then you place it like this. The front of the facing will be facing the back of the top, because when we want to turn it, we want the front of the facing should be at the front of the top. You can see this is the back of the top and this is the front of the top. So now when we after sewing this, we turn it to the front and it should be showing at the front of the top. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but let me sew this so you can understand what I'm trying to explain. After sewing this, the next thing you have to do is to give it a launch. So we'll be launching this like this, a bit of launch, so it will be easy for you to turn to the front or to the back. Always make sure you launch your neck line. So now I'll turn this to the front. So now I've turned the facing to the front of the senator top. I'll give this a good press. Guys, after pressing this, the next thing you have to do is to fold on 1/2 inches. We're folding on 1/2 inches the facing. You can see, you just fold this like this. It's on 1/2 inches and press this down. I'll be doing the same thing on the other side also, like this, and press down. So after pressing this, you fold this down like this on 1/2 inches and press also. So guys, I'm done with the ironing of the front and the back. I'll go to the sewing machine and I'll be sewing on this like this, and I'll do the same thing also at the back. So guys, I'm done with the sewing of the facing. You can see how neat it is. So now we'll keep this aside and I'll be working on the front of the top. This is the front of the top. You can see to have turned the facing two for the front. Now fold this into two like this. You make sure the both sides are equal because we want to slit this open. Then you check how you want your slits to be, maybe 7, 8, 9, depending on how you want your slits. I want my slits to be 7 inches. So I'll just come down. You can see I came down by 7 inches and I will slit this open. You can see how it is. So guys, after slitting this open, you cut out your palette. This is 3 inches. You can see this is 3 inches, and you cut another one, the smaller one, which is 2 inches. Now give this a good press. I'll be pressing this into 2 and fold the sides. Then for the bigger palette, you cut out your, is it that stay you have, or strong gum stay, or paper stay, but I'm making use of stay for this, and I cut out 1.25 for the stay. So now let's iron this to the fabric, and I will go to the ironing table to fold this into 2 like this, and fold into 2 for you to see. Now let me do this. So guys, I'm done with the ironing of this palette. You can see how it is. This is the smaller one, and why this is the 3 inches. After folding it, we have 1.25. So now this is the 2 inches. After folding it, we have ½ inches. So we'll go to the sewing machine. You can see I fold this place inside. We'll be putting this inside, the small palette inside this like this, and I will go and sew this down. Don't forget to give this a bit of lunge at this side here. I'm done with the sewing of the small palette. You can see how it is. Now let's sew the big one. Now to sew this other palette, you can see the way it is, and this small one that will fold in ½ inches, you start sewing from the back like this to this place here. So now let me sew this and show you guys what it looks like. So guys, you can see I'm done with the sewing. I sew it at the back. Now we turn this to the front like this. So we'll sew it now like this. You can see the way I turn it. I sew this on the back of the top. Now we just turn this to the front like this. You can see it to be like this. You can see now we turn it to the front. Do you see the way I turn it? We sew from the back like this. Then now we'll just turn this to the front like this. You can see how it is. So now I'll go to the sewing machine. I'll be sewing on this edge straight down. Then when I get here, I will just fold like this and continue the sewing to this place where I want the opening should be. After sewing to this end here, the next thing you have to do is to continue your sewing to this up of the palette. So now let me sew this and show you guys. Alright guys, I'm done with the fixing of the palette. You can see how it is. The next thing we have to do now is to join the front and back together. I'll bring in the back and we'll just join this on ½ inches on the shoulder, but this you have to join it in a way that it will not be showing that you join it. So we join it like this. You can see the way I put it is in between. Then we use this other facing to turn it inside like this. You can see how it is. So now I'll go to the sewing machine. I'll be sewing on ½ inches. So guys, after sewing this, you can see how it is. So now we'll just draw it from the inside out like this. So this is it. This is the back and this is the front. So now I'll give this a good press. I'll do the same thing to the other shoulder also. Now we have to fix our sleeve. This is my sleeve. I dropped a video on how to cut a kimono. Please check on that video. You see how to make this turn up sleeve, so you can see how it is. I don't want this video to be too long, that's why I'm going straight to the sleeve. The next thing you have to do is to fold your sleeve into two like this and give it a lunge. And you make a lunge too on your top. You can see this is the back of the top. This is my back of the sleeve. Then we just make the back, you turn it to the front like this, and we'll be sewing from this edge, from this end of the sleeve to this end of the sleeve first, and I will sew the same thing on this other side and show you what it looks like. Right guys, I'm done with the joining of the sleeve. You know, we'll join the sleeve first before we now shape the side of the top. We're joining the sides from the sleeve, from the beginning of the sleeve here straight down. So now let me do this and show you guys what it looks like. You will join from, like, if I'm joining this on 1 inches, so I'll join down straight down 1 inches to this place. You know, we have to have a slit at the side of the top, so it will be easy for you to put on the shirt and to pull it off when you want to pull off your shirt. Alright guys, I'm done with the joining of the sides. You can see, and I've given this a good press, and I pressed this folding. You can either sew this or you use Emmy gum, but me, I'll be making use of Emmy gum to sew this because I need a neat finishing, and I'll use the Emmy gum to fold the hem of the senator top. So now let me do this and show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, I'm done with the folding of the hem, and you can see at the sides I just use my Emmy gum, while on the hem of the top I use my machine to match it down. So guys, this is it. The next thing we have to do now is to tack in our pressing button on this palette. So now we'll be tacking this pressing button and we are done. So guys, I've fixed this pressing button on the senator top. You can see how it is. They used to call this toko tire. This is the one that will be at the up, and this other one will be at the down. Let me show you how to fix this. To fix this, this is the one you put at the up, then you put this one at the down. Up, down, up, down. So when I mean up, this on this big palette, you'll be putting this here. You can see the way I put this. Now I'll sew this down. I'll use my needle and thread to tack it down. I will tack this down here, and I will tack the other flat one, the flat one, down at this tiny palette. When I'm done doing this, it will look like this. You can see the way I do this. That's how I want to do this other one. And so guys, I'm done with the fixing. You can see how it looks. This is it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you. See you guys on my next video. God bless you.